Hey everybody. Okay, so it's been quite a week. And so when I get stressed out and I've had a really bad week or time or whatever, one of the things I do to de-stress is I make pens. I know it sounds really crazy, but bear with me because some of the pens. So tonight I'm going to show you some of the ways that I make pens to make myself feel better. Okay. One of them is a really pretty blingy pen. Another, I'm just going to show you all the ways. 5 different pens. And you don't have to make them when you're stressed either. They could just be something fun to do. The new year's coming, and who doesn't need a new pen for the new year? So, yay. And oh, hey, by the way, I'm Colette with Blessings Craft Therapy, if you didn't know. And if you did, thanks so much for coming back. And remember, all of the things that I do in all of my tutorials, we have allergies here. So I don't use epoxy. I can't use any E6000. So almost everything that I use is allergen sensitivity friendly. I can't guarantee that you wouldn't have a reaction to some of the products I use, but the products that I use so far have been really helpful here. So that disclaimer being made, I hope you didn't have a stressful week, but if you did, this might help. I'm just saying. Okay, let's get to the projects. All right, so we start with Inkjoy gel pens. I also am using some gem tack. I have these beautiful little rhinestones from Michaels. They are bead landing and they come in so many different sizes. These are the size is 6. I also have some little cutters and a dowel. And I also have it's like a wax pen. You want a wax pen with a little bit of a point to it so that you can do this and save yourself some frustration. Get a precision nozzle little glue thing. I also have this they're like little lines on the inside of a tray, and these are the replacement if you want to replace the ink in that. You get them on Amazon. All right, so we're going to take apart our pen. I just take the tip and unscrew it and then take all of the insides out. Then I'm going to twist off that little clip, and then you'll see it has like this little nubby, and you'll see this every pen that you see that I do. This is the exact same thing. That little nubby is there. I try to use these little plier things to get the majority of the nubby part off, and then you can. And you'll see there's that nubby, but then there's also another one with the logo, and there's another one on that barrel. You can sand it off. It works just fine to sand, but if you're doing a lot of pens like I do, I use this little nail tech thing. It's just a little filer. You could use a Dremel. Works like a charm. Now I'm going to take my dowel. I'm going to put this in clicker. The hole that the clicker was on, I put that in first, and then I put some tape on it, and then this is what I'm going to use to make our pen stable. So then I take our little gemstones, put them in a little tray and shake it, and the tray is nice because it actually makes them lay flat. This is another thing that I use that makes my job easier. It's a Ryobi. It lights up, and it's a magnifying glass. It's awesome. All right, so I took and put a small bead of that gem tack all on the very tippity top. Okay, you don't want to use too much, but you don't want to use too little either. Too much and it'll slide, too little and it's not going to stick. This is the hardest part. This in the very last row is the hardest thing of this whole pen. So all I'm going to do now is I lay a bead of glue, and then I just put the little gems as close together without them pushing them out of position. Does that make sense? Then we're going to put another layer of glue on the second row, and now we're going to be putting the gems in between each of that first row. Does that make sense? So you have those two. This one's going to go in between it. I think it's called like I think it's like beehive or something like that, or honeycomb. Maybe it's a honeycomb. I don't know. Either way, you're going to do that all the way around. And that's all you're going to do. You're going to do the whole pen that way. You're just going to go and put your gems in between the last row all the way down. I try to put as little. I don't like doing a ton of glue, but I probably do more glue than most people. You just don't want the gems to slide off though. So just don't use so much that it's dripping. And then here it is. I did the entire pen with the exception of the last row. Here's the last row, and it's not that complicated. You just have to maneuver the gems a little bit here and there so they actually, because this is like a tapered end, and you just want them to fit so that they're not pushing each other out. Here it is. You want to let it dry, probably 24 hours or so. And then we're going to just put our pen back together, and that was that. Friends, I don't know about you. I do these pens because when I get stressed out, it's just that monotonous kind of thing. I think that's what does it for me. I had a really rough week and I needed something to just A, sparkles make me smile, and B, doing these pens, it just centers me a little bit, just doing that monotonous stuff. So anyways, there you go. And hey, let me just say, it's awful pretty. So it helped me. Maybe it'll help you. I don't know. Either way, it's sparkly and pretty, and there you go. So I got these pens from Michael's. They're actually sublimation pens. So we're going to take the pen apart, and all you're going to do is unscrew the bottom, take out the ink and the little springy thing, take those out, and then the top is going to just pull out, and it's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. Easy to take out though. And now we have the case. Now I have a dowel, and I wrapped this masking tape around it so that it would fit this pen just to hold it securely. And I'm just going to put that in. Ta-da! Perfect. All right. So now we're going to use some tack it over and over. Yes, it has to be tack it over and over, or at least this is what I'm using. I put it on my pen and I smooth it out. You want to have it nice and smooth. You don't want to have a bunch of bubbles or anything like that. Then let it dry. And when I say by dry, it is going to be tacky, but you won't have any residue on your finger. Does that make sense? Okay, so now we have this mica, and we're going to do some with, this is a really soft brush, and I'm just putting some mica on it, and I'm just swirling it on to the pen that has the tacket on it. And friends, it works. It looks so beautiful. The video does not do it justice, in my opinion. I am so excited. First of all, I love purple, so hello. This is this works for me. But this is great, especially if you're doing stuff and you want to do vinyl on it. You could seal this and do vinyl so much faster than if you wanted to do, like if you were doing glitter or whatever. You have to put a lot of sealing layers on it for it to get nice and flat. This flat. So awesome. Yes, I am doing some hot pink because these are my colors, pink and purple. And I am ombreing them. So I start at the bottom and work my way up. And again, I'm just putting it on and kind of swirling it. And look at how beautiful. What? Right? I know. So now I'm going to seal it. I'm using Crystal X Grand Finale. And I did 3 coats, 2 hours in between each coat. I probably didn't even need to do that many coats, but look at, it is so smooth and shiny and beautiful and subtle. And it's not wicked sparkly, but it is, if that makes sense. So then we're going to put our pen back together. We're just doing the opposite of what we did to take it apart. Make sure that top is all the way flush to your pen. Okay, and then we're going to put the ink part back in along with the little spring, and we're just going to screw the tip back on, and that's it. And let me also tell you, it's a weighty pen, so it's heavy, and it writes beautiful. I'm just saying. All right, so we're going to start with printable vinyl. I got mine at Michael's. I print out this graphic. I made it in Canva. The measurements are 4.5 by 1.5. I'm using Inkjoy pens. Now we're going to take the pens apart, just unscrew the bottom and get the insides out. Then we're going to take that clip and twist it off. You've seen me do these before, but I love them so much. So then you're going to sand off all of the nubbies, okay? You can use a sanding block. I was using one for a nail thing. Now I'm showing you my little contraption I make for using, I just put my pens on those to dry. I wipe down my pens with some rubbing alcohol, and I'm going to cut out my graphics. Again, I made my graphics in Canva, but I do have this in my Etsy shop. All right. So then I take my backer off of my vinyl, and I'm going to put this on my pen. So here it is on here. Make sure it's nice and straight, which is the biggest challenge for me. I don't know about you, but I adhere one side and then I just roll it. This is the only way I know how to roll it. I always get somebody in the comments commenting on my rolling skills. Yeah, okay. So there we make sure it's all adhered. Perfect. There it is. And okay, so you could be done right here. This is waterproof. it's adhered. We can put our pen back together, which see, we put the clicker back in, we put the ink in, and then we just screw on the very tippity top, and that could be it. You could be done, and it is super pretty, and I love it. Look at how pretty this is. Love, love, love. But you know I can't stop there. No, no, no. So let me show you what I do. So I'm just showing you another graphic that I had made, and I'm going to put it on same way I did the other one. We're just going to, roll it onto our pen, making sure that there are no bubbles. You don't want to have any parts that are open kind of thing. Does that make sense? You don't want any of that. So make sure it's really adhered. I usually, when I do this, I put a little bit of heat to it. So I use my heat gun and I just heat up my vinyl just a little bit to make it adhere better. Now I'm using Crystal X Grand Finale, and I'm putting this, and you'll see I'm putting this on with my finger. This is epoxy free, non-toxic. So you wait 2 hours in between each coat. So I did a coat, waited 2 hours. Here's my second coat, and again I'm just putting a very thin coat on with my finger, doing all the pens that I have. Wait 2 hours. Here they are. They're nice and dry. And holy Toledo, look at the shine. 2 coats. Look at the shine on them. Yep, I know. It didn't take that long. I love it. I think it just takes it up just that extra notch. It makes it look more special, but that's just me. And then we just put them back together just like we did before. We put the clicker in, then we're going to put the ink in, and then we're going to screw on the top, and voila, we've got pens. And if you saw my video with making the notebook, these match. And these come in, this graphic actually comes in the same bundle that I have on Etsy for the notebook. So look at how pretty it is. Listen, I'm obsessed with pens. I don't know about you. I love me some pens. All right, so I have these pens from Michaels. They are sublimation pens. I also have some Heat and Bond. This is Ultra Hold, all got from Michaels. So I'm going to cut down my Heat and Bond, and I have a piece of, it's just a scrap piece of fabric. It's very cool. It's a red and black plaid, and I love it. So you're going to put shiny side of your Heat and Bond to your wrong side of your fabric, and you're going to iron it. It takes next to no time at all for it to adhere. Let it cool. Then once it's cool, you're going to take that backer off, peel it off, and there, see, now you can see that your Heat and Bond is secure to your fabric, and now it's ready to adhere to whatever you want to adhere it to. Tonight, it's going to be this pen. So excited. All right, so what I do with the pen is you unscrew the tip, and then you take out the pen part, which this is refillable, by the way. You just have to buy them on like Amazon. And then I pull the black part, the clicker part, you're going to pull that out. Put that on the side. And now we have this aluminum center. I mean, you know what I mean. So then we're going to take my fabric, and I'm going to cut it. Now my usual pen wraps, I cut to 1.5 by 4.7. 4.7 was a little too long for this. So I'm just going to warn you now, 4.5, maybe you might just have to cut it down, but it is 1.5 wide. Then what I'm going to do is put it on my pen. And what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that when we roll that fabric on there, that the pattern is going to match up. I don't know why words are so hard today. The pattern matches up beautifully. So then I put it to an iron, and I did one little section first, and then I start rolling my iron over it just to make sure that this goes on without any wrinkles. And then we're just going to keep ironing it. Now, please keep in mind, irons are hot. This is aluminum. It's going to get hot. Just be mindful. Using a sublimation mitt would probably be great, but you'll see here, I just keep rolling it. Now, did I do it longer than I probably needed to? Probably, but I was trying to figure out what the best way to do it was, and I think it's this. Just roll your iron and let your pen roll underneath it, and it goes, yes, it's on there. Can you believe this? I am so excited because listen, if you are a fabric person like me, this is like sky's the limit now, right? All right, so then I take my X-Acto knife, and there's a little, where the clip goes into the pen, there's a line that we just have to trim our fabric. So all I'm doing is using my X-Acto knife and following the edge of that line, and I'm just cutting a little tiny piece of strip of fabric out just to make sure that that clip can go back in and we can put our pen back together. It was not difficult. It's fine. See, ta-da, easy peasy. Then I always use a sanding block to sand off my edges. If you want to do it, then if you don't want to sand it, then I would make sure that you measure it perfectly. Okay. And then we're just going to put it back together. Another tip, I'm going to encourage you to make sure that this black part is all the way in. It is going to go flush to that top. So see how that black, very tippy top, just make sure it's all the way down or else your pen won't screw back in. And then we put back the other parts together and look at what? And yes, you have to try the clicker out. If it's not a good clicker, I don't know about you, tell me in the comments. If it's not a good clicker pen, I'm not doing it. I don't care how good it writes. So we start with the Inkjoy pens and we're going to take them apart. You just unscrew the bottom and then take all of the insides out. Then after that, we're going to remove the clip part. Now you can use like a wire cutter or you can just twist it off with your hand. It's fine either way. It's going to, though, leave a nub at the top that you're going to need to sand off. So that's what I'm doing here is I'm sanding that and any other raised spots that would cause our fabric to bubble. Then we're going to wipe it down with some rubbing alcohol. Now this is a dowel. I just put some masking tape on top so that the pen would fit on top. Perfect, right? And then we have fabric. I have chicken fabric. I have cow fabric, daisies, some more bees. Now, this is how I do what's called the drip method. And so I have a piece of floral foam and I just put my dowels that have the pens in it on that. Now we're going to cut our fabric to about 1.5 by 4.5 inches. Now I say about because that could change depending on your fabric, how stretchy it is. I always have to trim it down. So then I'm going to add some glitter glue. The glitter glue that I'm using is from Crystalac. So I do a nice thick coat on the pen and then I add my fabric. And then you'll see here on the seam, I start putting more glitter glue. And the reason why I'm doing that is because we want the ends to meet. And I'm trying with this particular one, I'm trying to match the pattern so that it looks seamless. These pens work best with small patterns. If you're doing some big pattern, the pattern's going to get lost. So then I'm going to cover the entirety of the pen with more of the glue. We want to saturate the fabric, okay? And then you're going to let it dry. I do many pens when I do this because it's a long process. And if I have many pens, then I can do many. So then you let it dry for 2 hours. And now we're going to use Crystalac Grand Finale. And I'm going to do 3 coats, 2 hours in between each coat. And see, that's what we're doing for each of the pens. Perfect. Once those 3 coats are done, I sand it because if there are any nubbies on it, I want those because I want it nice and smooth. So I sand it and then I wipe it down, clean it, perfect. And then we're going to do the process all over again. 3 more coats of Crystalac, 2 hours in between and let them dry. And this is it, fully dry. And are you kidding me? Look at, stop, right? I mean, listen, maybe some of you are like, God, it's too much work. You know what? It is a lot of work. But it's so worth it. Look how pretty this is. So now we're going to put our pens back together and I'm just going to put the silver part with the black part, that's the clicker part. Then we're going to put the pen part back in and then we're going to screw in the tip. Now, I'm thinking, listen, I'm just telling you friends right now, would this not be beautiful if you had baby clothes that you wanted to preserve? You had some, I don't know, pieces of clothing or something special from a loved one, or if you wanted to make something special, say from a wedding dress. These are just some ideas, but look at this cow print one, by the way. I love it. I am obsessed with all of them. You know, I have a thing for pens and these ones, no exception. I love them. Do they take a lot of time? Yup. Is it worth it? Yup. Absolutely. Anyways, friends, thank you so much for watching and I hope this inspires you.